Right, so what I am just going to go over now with you, even though we have talked about it in class, is the overview of what your drive looks like. So this view that you are looking at right now is technically the older view of Drive. Google is known for always revamping and improving and streamlining based on feedback that they receive from people. So I just want to show you, just so you don't get confused, that in your settings, if you go to Experience New Drive, you are going to see this. The differences are very slight. Instead of saying Create, it's going to say New. The same things are underneath it, however, if you click on it. Other things that are slightly different, instead of two buttons, there is one button for List View and Grid View. And lastly, if you did not like the new drive, you could always leave it and go back to the old drive. Totally up to you. So again, there's just some minor changes. This button as well, they've condensed things under one button. I will go back to the old drive because that is the screenshot that we have been working with today. But I just wanted to point that out to you. So as I just mentioned, these buttons up here can show you either a list view, if that's what you prefer, or a grid view. I prefer seeing folders because that works for me as a visual person. Here on the side, you can see different things that you or people within your group that may be working on a similar document or folder have been working on. This can be useful just to quickly be like, oh, this is the last thing I worked on and I want to go there. If you do not want to see this, all you have to do is click it closed and it goes away. If you'd like to see it again, you simply have to click on the I button. The letters represent the different people that are in your drive. So if your name starts with C, as mine does, you will see a delightful C. Other things to point out in the drive is to remember whether it says new or create. Okay, this is where you can access all your different core features. Okay, this is also where you can place add-ons, which you can connect to your drive, which I will talk about in a little bit. Looking over here, here's your main drive. Anything that you create will go under it. And much like the file cabinet that I discussed in class, you have folders in folders, right? So here's my file cabinet drawer, or say my file cabinet. Here's a drawer. And then even in that drawer, I have made all these folders in order just to help organize myself. So as you do that, this is very useful for you to refer to. I definitely suggest that you establish folders first and work to make sure that any documents or materials that you create are immediately placed in a folder that you prefer. It just, in the long run, I find it will be more useful. Down here is the shared with me. Okay, this is also where sometimes other documents might come in, otherwise known as incoming. But if someone shares something with you, you can find it in here. As you can tell, I have many things that have been shared with me because I use this with my students. This can be overwhelming and confusing if you ever need to find something. Okay, and this is why it's important to name your files. I could say weekly reflection and see what might pop up. Okay. The other thing to be aware of, and I'll just mention it if you go to the new, drive, it will show you it's the same thing. Okay. So again, shared with me is where if somebody finds a document. Okay. I will go back to the old drive, and then it'll ask me why I left. All right. So other things to remember is up here, I call this the square in the upper right-hand corner. The square and the square, the grid, I believe is the formal term, but whatever you would remind you visually. This in your drive also gives you access as well to core features. I tend to use this a lot. I teach my students to go here because once I'm in my drive, in order to access Classroom, I do need to click on the More button. Okay, so when you are in yours, you will also see that. Okay, and this is how we can get into Classroom, which we will continue in a different screencast.